Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Is carried unanimously. That concludes resolutions. Seeing that there are no bylaws on the agenda tonight, we'll move directly into the mayor's report. And I am pleased to present the mayor's report for September 9th, 2013. As our last council meeting was in August, I will go to members of council to provide updates on any activities that they have been a part of. However, I would like to comment that last week I attended the September board meeting for the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Board of Directors in St. John's, Newfoundland. And I was pleased to represent both the City of Thompson and also Manitoba municipalities at that forum. The Federation of Canadian Municipalities is the voice of municipal government nationally, and they are in fact an advocacy body and have been pushing the agenda of infrastructure quite hard over the past year, and have been working in partnership with the federal government to secure infrastructure funding for municipal governments in budget 2013. And as the details of those funds are not quite developed and not quite released to municipalities, putting some strain on our ability to develop budgets for 2014, the recommendation from FCM, working closely with the federal government, is to continue expecting the release of those funds for construction season 2014. And so I look forward into what plans this City Council can develop in terms of our budget deliberations. I would also like to report that the next advocacy priority on FCM's agenda is housing. And so similar to the way that FCM was able to work in partnership with the federal government to push the infrastructure, is particularly municipal infrastructure agenda, the next high priority advocacy item is going to be housing, particularly affordable housing and the development of new market rental housing. I would also like to report just specifically that for the second year, I've been appointed by FCM President to chair the Standing Committee on Increasing Women's Participation in Municipal Government. And I believe this is both an honor to represent the City of Thompson at that level where it's on a national stage, and I believe that the City of Thompson has a lot to afford in terms of progress on increasing women's participation. Just looking at our own council, we are miles ahead of the provincial average. Provincial average is 14% of women involved in municipal councils, which is quite low, given that we make up 51% of the population. So I would like to thank the City of Thompson and the leadership that we have in Thompson of women among our community. We have a lot of good news and good stories to share. Secondly, I would like to report that as a part of the Standing Committee on Social Economic Development that I sit on with FCM, I am also on the newly created Aboriginal Relations Subcommittee at FCM, where a number of municipalities that are looking at the question of how to build relations with their Aboriginal populations in their municipalities is being addressed. And I have to say that at that meeting, I shared the 2013 Aboriginal Accord report with committee members. And being a community of roughly 14,000 people, and at the same table with councillors from Toronto and Saskatoon and Calgary and Edmonton, we are miles ahead in terms of being proactive in building relationships with the Aboriginal community in our city, and growing and embracing progress together. And so I think that being at that table, we have a strong voice, and we have many proud things to be to advocate and to also share, and for others to learn from. And finally, as far as my FCM experience, it was all week. I was in meetings all week. I have a lot to share with you guys. As part of the Community Safety and Crime Prevention Committee that I'm on, I also shared details on the work that the City of Thompson has been doing in relation to the Crime Severity Index, both in terms of understanding it, understanding how it's put together, how it impacts our community, and how you put resources towards real solutions in terms of milling through that data. And so we shared information about taking leadership on collaborating with other municipalities across Canada in interpreting this Crime Severity Index, and discovering how we can act by committing resources to counter it. And we've proven with the downtown strategy and the resources that the City of Thompson has committed that we have seen a 3.3% reduction in our Crime Severity Index, which is huge. And there were communities at the table that are interested in continuing the conversation, continuing the dialogue, particularly the City of Yorkton, who sub-chairs or vice-chairs the committee. And so there is the City of Thompson is providing a lot of leadership in that respect, and it's being noticed. So with that, I would just also like to remind residents of Thompson that Household Hazardous Waste Depot at the City Hall is open on September 21st between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. And also, a contractor is currently upgrading traffic lights around the city to LED lightings, and we ask that you please exercise caution when traveling through those intersections. The public works crews are currently repairing wheelchair access points at the Burntwood area, along with some patching of asphalt throughout the city. I would also like to note that we have the 11 Past 1 concert on September 21st, and after the concert, we will be having an autograph session with the group as well as a dance party hosted by DJ Finesse. So if you haven't grabbed your tickets yet, um, they're available through the Recreation Department. And finally, I would like to remind residents that taxes are due September 30th, in case you forgot. We are also accepting applications to join the new TIP program in 2014, and we are accepting those applications up to and until December 31st this year. So with that, I would like to open the floor to council to share any information or community events that you've attended in the past week or since our last meeting together in August. I'll go to Councillor Byer.
I was privileged to attend the Labor Day ceremonies and festivities and to bring greetings on behalf of the city. And I want to say they do a fantastic job of providing activities for families and children. I don't know if they had a record turnout, but I'll tell you, it was so crowded. It was a gorgeous day for starters, but so many people, and as I said in my message, it's so nice to see family involvement and to see so many families encouraging their children to participate in events and to help out at events, because there were certainly young people helping out as well. And then also last weekend I had the privilege of handing out the Yard of the Week plaques and certificates. Mayor Johnson brought greetings at that. And I just want to say something about the organizers for Communities in Bloom and Yard of the Week Thompson Pride. They put in an awful lot of hours on things that you don't stop and think about that are required to be done, whether it's phone calls, whether it's checking lists, whether it's verifying information or verifying that you have people to be in place when you need them and where you need them. We had, there's photographers, there's articles that need to be written for the newspaper. There's so many details. And at the risk of, I guess there's always some risk when you mention names, but I really have to, first of all, thank B. Shantz for taking on the Yard of the Week. She put tremendous effort and hours into it, and she did a fantastic job. And I also want to thank on the committee two people who are also employees of the city, Jim and Angie English. They also put in extra time and hours. There's other people on the committee and everybody contributed, but I think those three people maybe deserve just a little extra thank you. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. I'm going to do it anyways. Jim English contacted the committee, and we did receive 4 blooms again this year. And yes, we do have a goal for 5 blooms, but I'll tell you, it's sure nice getting 4 blooms. And so thank you for that. So we're a 4 bloom community, and we can work even more in cooperation with each other to make it 5 next year.
Excellent. Thank you, Councillor Byer. Anybody else from council to share on events or community notices? Seeing none, I will look for a motion to adjourn.